Okay, so I think we're just going to get started now, and then people will continue to pile in here. So first off, I want to welcome you guys all here to this Lunch and Learn webinar this afternoon. We're going to be talking about service credit purchases today. So on the agenda, I always cover this with every webinar that I do. We're going to talk about your retirement. What is a defined benefit plan? Just give you a background on that real quick. And then we're going to get into real quickly what the main topic about today's webinar is, which is service credit purchases. So what is a service credit purchase? What can be bought? Is it worth purchasing? And then how could you go about doing so if you want to do that? And then finally, we're going to end with a Q&A section. So as I mentioned, for people that may have just came into the webinar, if you guys have any questions, feel free to throw those in the chat, or you can use the raise hand emoji and I will call on you after the presentation is over and you can ask your question verbally. Okay. So first off, what is a defined benefit plan? What is your retirement that you get from us, from Visera? Well, a defined benefit plan is a lifetime benefit based on specific factors. So the factors that we look at when we calculate your benefit from us when you retire are your age at retirement, your years of service, or what we call service credit, which is going to be what we're talking about today, service credit purchases. And then we look at your salary, or what we call final average compensation. So we take these three factors here, and that's how we calculate what you will get from us every month for the rest of your life when you retire. Now, two other factors that are considered into your calculation as well is the tier level that you're in and membership classification. So if you're a general member or a safety member, or you are in tiers 1 for general, tiers 1 through 5, or safety members are in tiers 1, 2, 4, and 5. And then finally, to get some type of a lifetime benefit from us, you do need to be vested in the plan with 5 years of service. So that's just the minimum requirements that you would need to get some type of a lifetime benefit from us when you're ready to retire. Okay, so let's get into the real reason we're all here today, right? What we're talking about, which is service credit purchases. So what is a service credit purchase? Well, you might have heard in your office from other coworkers and stuff, you've probably heard the term buyback. That's what a service credit purchase is. Buyback and service credit purchase are the same thing. So what this is that service credit can be purchased at any point in your career if there is eligible time that can be purchased, which can count toward your vesting period of 5 years of service. So when you may be wondering, what is considered eligible time? So eligible time is time that you worked for a Visera plan sponsor, like the County of Fresno, for example, where you are not able to make retirement contributions. So if you took a leave of absence and you were not receiving a check from the county, or you were receiving a check, but you weren't getting enough to where you were making retirement contributions, you may be able to purchase that time and add it back to your years of service as if you worked that entire time that you were gone and you got that service credit. By purchasing your eligible service credit, your monthly benefit will increase because that's one of the three factors that we look at when we calculate your lifetime benefit. Okay, so here is on this page is the service credit that can be purchased throughout a member's career. So the first one is new hire period. So your new hire period is your first 2 weeks of full-time permanent employment. This new hire period is available to everyone that gets hired on as a plan through your employer and becomes a member of Visera. Because when you get hired on, and this is talked about on your onboarding process as well, when you get hired on, your first pay period of your new position, you're not contributing into retirement yet. You don't become a member of Visera and start contributing and earning that service credit. So the first day of the second pay period. Because of that, we do allow you to purchase that first pay period if you choose to. So everybody has this one available to them when they're ready throughout their career, if they want to purchase that time. Other service credit that can be purchased part-time or extra help. So we do have a lot of county employees that work extra help time prior to becoming permanent, for example. If you worked extra help or considered part-time prior to becoming permanent, you could purchase that time and add those years of service that those are calculated at to your current membership. Redeposit of withdrawn funds. So what this means is I use the county a lot because the majority of people that we deal with is the county of Fresno employees. So let's say that I worked for the county and I worked here for 1 year and then I left and I decided to withdraw my funds from Facera and cash out and get the money cashed out to me in my account. Let's say later on then I get hired back by the county. I could actually contact Facera and request to have my withdrawn funds that I took out recalculated and figure out how much it would cost me to put those funds back in as if I never left. And I could regain that year of service that I cashed out. So in theory, then, if that were to happen, then when I start that second term of membership and I repaid those contributions, I would only have to work 4 years instead of working a full 5 to become vested because I already have a year in the system. So that's one reason why a lot of people purchase that redeposit time right there, if it's available to them. Now, the other service credit that can be purchased is prior public service. Now, this is only available to the Superior Courts of California, Fresno, and our other special districts in our plan. Unfortunately, this is not available to County of Fresno employees. So prior public service is service that, service that was worked prior to becoming a Facera member. We used to allow members to purchase that time from, let's say, another California public agency, stuff like that. Even military time, prior public service military time was able to be purchased. The county does not allow that anymore as of around 2011, 2012, but the other special districts can still do so. And then the more common one, leave of absence. So if you take a medical leave, which is an FMLA due to illness of you, the member, or you take a military leave, which is that leave of absence during active employment, you could purchase those times as well to add back to your years of service, which would then increase your retirement benefit. Now, there are two other types of leaves that do occur through employment that are unfortunately not available to be purchased to add to your retirement, which is personal and educational leaves. Unfortunately, those two types of leaves are not available to purchase to add back to your years of service. So other information to know. So throughout your career, and if you're looking at all these different service credits and stuff, every member in Facera has a different case, meaning that some service credit may not be available to you, but may be available to another member. So just keep that in mind. Now, all the available services or service credits that I put here on this slide here, not everybody is eligible for all this stuff throughout their career. So just keep that in mind. In some cases, too, as well, some service credit must be purchased first before being eligible to purchase others. So, for example, extra help. If you want to purchase your extra help time, you do need to purchase your new hire period first prior to purchasing that extra help time. Okay. If you integrated during a medical leave of absence, there will be no service credit to purchase. So this is a very common question that we get in, I would say, almost misunderstanding of how the process works. If you take a medical leave, but you integrated during that LOA, there is you are contributing into the retirement plan. So there is actually no service credit for you to purchase because you are still accruing that service credit even though you are on leave. So that's very, very important to grasp. Also here, if you have more than one membership period there and there is extra help associated with each period, the member can only purchase this time associated with the first membership period. So for example, if you worked extra help and then you became permanent in 2016, let's say then you left in 2017, got rehired back as extra help in 2018 and became a member again in 2019. If you wanted to purchase that extra help time back, you can only purchase that first extra help time that first date of membership. Like I mentioned, a lot of these service credit requests that we do get in our office are case by case situations. So in that example there with that extra help, whenever we have that case come up, we do let the member know what's going on with that. Also, if you leave county service and then if the member leaves county service and the member is not vested in the plan, so they have less than 5 years of service and there's no request of reciprocity and more than 6 months have elapsed, if you decide to submit a service credit request to our office, we will reject that request because there's no benefit for you to purchase that time for your years of service because since you don't have reciprocity established and you're and or you're not vested in the plan with 5 years of service, you're just giving us money for no real value there. So unless you decide to return to a Facero plan sponsor, but in most cases where we see someone leave after like maybe half a year to a year of service, they end up cashing out anyways. But that's just something else for you guys to know. Okay, so the next thing here, is it worth purchasing service credit? So this question does get asked a lot with the members that we get through emails, phone calls, things like that. They know they have eligible time, but hey, they always ask, is it even worth my time to buy that? Is it worth you guys actually calculating that? Well, purchasing service credit, just remember, it's optional. So even though you have all this, even though, excuse me, that you may have available time, whether that's a medical leave, extra help, or something like that, you don't have to purchase that time. You could just disregard that. Um, you will need to look at the difference. You will need to look at the difference of the cost versus the benefit increase. So if you were to purchase that, how much does your benefit increase? When do you break even? Stuff like that. That's also something to consider that a lot of people do when they're looking at the different service credits that they can purchase. And then one way that you can actually see this cost versus benefit analysis is through our member portal, which I'm going to show you guys in an example here in just a minute. But if you guys ever have any questions about this service credit process, like about buying the time, if it's beneficial, you just want to know more, feel free to call our office, send us an email, and speak to a retirement specialist. That's what we're here for. Our office, we want to help you guys understand all this so you guys can make the best decisions for your retirement. Okay, so on the next couple of slides, I have screenshots of our member portal, and I'm going to walk you guys through how this all works and how you guys can actually, you know, see what the real benefit of purchasing any available service credit that you may have into the member portal to see if it's beneficial for you to buy. So how you guys can see in the member portal, if you have any available time that can be purchased, is you guys log in and then you guys go to the calculations tab on the left side. Once you click on that, it's going to bring down a drop down menu, and then you're going to want to click on service purchase. So at that point, it takes you to this screen that you guys see here on the PowerPoint. Service purchase estimate. Here it should list all the service credit that is available for you to purchase. So here, this will list, for example, for this member, it lists their new hire period. So it lists, okay, this person has a new hire period of this point. This is how much service credit can be purchased for this period. And then on the right side there, this is the estimated cost of how much that would be to purchase that time to add back to your retirement. So that's the first step there, looking at that service credit, what we have in the portal for you. Now, depending on if you were extra help, and all this other stuff, if it was like way back then in the 90s or stuff, it's possible it may not be in the system, but more likely you should see it in the member portal. Okay, so then the second step, how we can add that service credit that could be purchased, service credit that can be purchased and add it to a calculation. So the next thing you want to do, and I can already tell you my thumb is not really pointing to, my little hand point's not pointing to the retirement benefits option right there. But you then want to go to the calculation section there on the left side, and it'll bring it on a drop-down menu. Click on retirement benefit. And then here, it will bring you to the retirement benefits screen. So you do need to generate a calculation first before you can enter any potential service credits to add to that benefit. So what I usually do is you can select the earliest retirement date. And there's a drop-down menu where it says calculate or calculation estimate type. So go ahead and select earliest retirement date, or even pick a retirement date, whatever you want to do, and hit that orange button that says continue. What that's going to do is that's going to bring up this screen here where, and it's not the full screen, this is only just a part of that. It's going to bring up your it's going to bring up your calculations for your benefit based off of the date or the type of calculation you want it to run. And it's going to bring up the different options that are available to you and everything. Okay, so this is how you get started then. Then after that, if you guys go to the top left right there, you see that orange button where that arrow is pointing that says edit calculation information. You're going to want to click on that because this is then going to take you to the screen where you can input that potential service credit to add to your benefit. So once you click that orange button that says edit calculation, it's going to bring you to a screen that has all these different options that will it will allow you to add service. This screen will also allow you to manipulate your final average compensation salary. So you can edit and put a different final comp in, or you can say, hey, if I decide to leave my employer on this date, it will stop calculating service credit up to that point, and you can even see what your benefit would be if you were to leave work and not retire until later or something like that. There's a lot of different options. But for the sake of this presentation, there's a section that says add service. So then once you hit that edit calculation screen, you should see a section like this that you guys see on the PowerPoint right there. This is where you're going to enter that number that you saw under service purchase in the previous slides. So in the previous slide, it was that new hire period, so the decimal point is 0.0384. So I would drop that into prior service right there. And for the sake of the calculation, it honestly does not matter where you put the years of service that could be potentially purchased. You could put it in any one of those lines. The calculation is still going to be the same. Just make sure that you put it in one of those for adding service, but don't put it under the reciprocity box that you guys see right above there. So then once you put that number in, all you have to really do is then go back to the top and hit recalculate estimate. Once you hit that orange button, oh, and I guess I did not have a slide for that. I apologize. So once you click that orange button, then it will take you back, and I can actually show you here. It will take you back to this screen here where it's going to show you the different benefit options again, and you should see a difference in the benefit of the dollar amount. So you'll be able to then compare the differences of the dollar amount that you ran prior and to that new dollar amount right there with the service credit and being added there. So you could see what the difference of increase is, and then you can even calculate your break-even point of saying, okay, well, it increases my benefit $10 a month, and it's going to cost me $300 to purchase that time. So that with that increase, I will break even and then start seeing a real benefit after 30 months. So you could do something like that to kind of give you an idea if that's worth purchasing or not. So this is a great tool to use in the member portal. I definitely recommend looking at it if you have the time. If you have not registered for the member portal, that's okay. You could just send us an email with your work email address or with your work email, and we can give you a unique identifier to register for the member portal so you can get access to that. And then also, if you guys go to our website, fresnocountyretirement.org, there is a new tab that I just put out there this week, the media tab. So that's where I'm going to put all our webinars and YouTube videos and things all under that section. One of the first videos that you guys can click on that media tab is a webinar I did a couple months ago about the member portal and how to use it. So if you guys are more interested in learning how to use the member portal and things like that, check out that video. Okay. So after getting through all that, figuring out, okay, we know what service credit purchase is. We know, how we can use the member portal to potentially calculate what that's going to look like. How do we go about purchasing it? Well, it's a very simple process. All you really need to do is complete this request for service credit calculation form that you guys see on the screen there. You guys can actually find that form on our website under forms, or you can even send us an email to the Facera webmail, which is facera@fresnocountyca.gov. And we will then pass that request over to our benefits unit, and they will do the calculation. Once the calculation has been completed, you guys will get mailed a letter with a quote. That quote is going to detail everything for you. It's going to detail you how much service credit is available for you to purchase, the cost, the due date, and also payment options. Now, just because you send in a request to have all your time calculated, there is no obligation for you to purchase that time. So if you get that quote back from us and you realize, that's a little bit too much, I don't think I can really do that, then you don't have to. You can just throw that calculation away. Don't have to worry about it. as I mentioned, depending on the leave, the amount of time that you're purchasing and stuff like that, you may be able to make payments, but that's also going to be broken down for you on the contract. And then as well, you could pay for your service credit purchase with your deferred compensation plan. So for county employees, for example, you could use your nationwide deferred comp plan to pay for your service credit purchase. That's going to also be done through employee benefits, but they can give you a form for that, but that can be done. Okay, so that's really it for my presentation about service credit purchase. I hit all the highs and low points. It's a lot of information, but it's not at the same time. I don't have a lot of slides for it. So I'm going to quickly kind of give you guys some just more contact information and resources real quickly here. Feel free to always call our office. Call our office or email us if you have any questions. If you're looking to retire, and I stress this very much because this is a question that we get asked a lot. If you guys are looking to retire in the near future, please, when you have a retirement date picked out, you can call our office up to 90 days prior to that retirement date of your choosing, and our retirement specialist will schedule an appointment with you and then get that process going. Our mailing address is 7772 North Palm Avenue, Fresno, California, 93711. We have new office hours. So from Monday through Thursday, our office hours are 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Fridays, we're only open half a day from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. As I mentioned, there's our phone number right there for that you guys can give us a call if you have any questions, or you can send us an email to our webmail. That's also a great way that you can get a hold of us and send any questions that you do have. Visit our website for more information about your retirement. So FresnoCountyRetirement.org. Yeah, check out our website. We have a ton of new stuff that we're doing on there. Um, a bunch of information for your retirement. So, check that out. And if you guys have questions, reach out to us. And then finally, check out future webinars. I try to do a webinar once a month about different retirement topics and other online content out on our YouTube channel. So just be on the lookout for that. I'm trying to produce more stuff for you guys. So you guys have all this information at your fingertips. And then finally, I appreciate you guys taking your time this afternoon to listen to me talk. You guys will be getting an email with the survey, hopefully by the end of the day today. And then if you guys have any questions, feel free to email me at facera@fresnocountyca.gov or my personal email address if you have any other feedback. Okay, so that's it for the presentation. Now it's kind of like the open Q&A section. So if you guys have questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. If you guys want to ask them verbally, just make sure you use the raise your hand emoji. I will highlight your name and then I will unmute your mic and you guys can ask that verbally. So let me go look at the questions here and then we will go through as many as we can. It looks like I got some time. So what's the continuing benefit to a qualifying partner? Okay, so that's that question. It depends. It depends on the option that you select. So we have a couple different options that provide a continuing benefit to a spouse or an eligible beneficiary. The unmodified provides a 60% lifetime continuance to an eligible beneficiary, which is a spouse or a minor child. Option 2 provides a 100% continuance to a beneficiary of your choice. Option 3 provides a 50% continuance to a beneficiary of your choice. I definitely recommend, and let me see if I can link that in the reply here for you guys too. Give me 1 second here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to link you guys a couple of different things here in the chat. If you guys just give me 1 second here, I'm going to link you a couple pieces of information, and then we'll get to more of the other questions. Okay, so the first thing here I'm going to link is I'm going to link the survey that I would appreciate you guys filling out about the webinar there in the chat, and then also benefit options. Sorry, and then Sandy, here is your reply. I'm trying to link that here. I sent a link. I sent a link for the benefit options there that you guys can look at. Okay. So let's see. How long is the calculation valid once issued? So the calculation, that's a very good question. So once you get the calculation done, it does say a due date on there. Normally, the due dates are usually before the fiscal or before the interest crediting period ends. So we accrue interest on our retirement contributions twice a year, June 30th and December 31st. So if the calculation is handed out to you during that time and it has that due date, you probably want to ensure this that you can get us that option or that election if you want to purchase that as soon as possible, because if it passed the due date, we can still calculate the time for you, but the cost may be a little bit more because we'll have to add that extra interest from the new interest crediting period on there. But usually the due dates are strictly listed on the contract. And then, if you have any questions as far as like the due date, how long that goes with the interest crediting period, stuff like that, you can definitely call our office and speak to the benefits team that handles the service credit purchases, and then they can probably give you a little bit more detailed answer there. Let's see, Daniel asks, how long does it take? I sent in a request a month ago. So these requests by our benefits team, when we get them, we quote a 60 to 90-day turnaround. Just like a lot of people are experiencing right now, we have issues with a little bit of a backlog, and plus we're short staffed. So we're actively trying to get through these service credit purchases as fast as we can in the order that we receive them. So we usually do quote about 60 to 90 days. But it could be a little longer depending on when that request was received. So, but that's tentatively it. My advice to you guys is in about, give it a month or so, a month and a half, and then if you haven't heard anything, you can always check in. But right now we are experiencing a little bit of staffing shortage and a little bit of a backlog, but we're trying to get through all that. Hopefully, everything will be caught up within the next couple months or so. So okay. So let's see here. Okay, it seems like a lot of people have the same question. How long does it usually take? Well, I kind of answered that. For ones that have already said that, why is it taking a little bit longer? Depending on when we receive the request, like I mentioned, we do have a little bit of a backlog and stuff, but we can look into that. If you guys want to send us an email, we can look into that. Maybe there's a timetable I could provide you based off of when I speak to the benefits unit. But currently, we're trying to work through that backlog and being short-staffed, so we're trying to do the best we can at the moment right now. So we definitely appreciate your guys' patience and everything. Let's see. How long does it take for a buyback to become effective once payment has been made, assuming a lump sum payment? So it I don't have the exact time frame of when it becomes effective. We usually, when you send in the payment, we try to process that as soon as possible because we and get through that. So it might take a pay period or two before that processes, but we definitely try to process that as quickly as we can. I don't have an exact date or exact time frame for you. I apologize, but if you want to send another email to us, we can definitely look into that for you. Am I able to buy back service time credit from another law enforcement agency even if I was cashed out? Robert, no, unfortunately you cannot. That is not allowed because that is considered prior public service, and the county does not allow that anymore. Let's see. Do your beneficiaries receive the money paid in the buyback if you die, and if there's no person who will receive the retirement if there, i.e., no spouse? So Terry, that's kind of like a very good question and also a loaded question. So the beneficiary per se does not receive the money that's paid in before the buyback. So when you're paying in contributions into the plan, the retirement payment that you get from us is not based on your contributions. It is a formula-driven plan that provides a payment to you every month for the rest of your life. So with that being said, depending on the option that you select and who your beneficiary is, if you have an eligible beneficiary that could receive a percentage continuance based off the option that you select, in the case of your death, they will get that percentage every month for the rest of their lifetime. If you select an option and have a non-eligible beneficiary to receive a continuance, then that's when we look at your contribution bucket, which you've put into the plan at the time that you retired, And then if there's money left over in that bucket at the time of your death, then that would be paid out to that beneficiary. But that's only usually for unmodified and option one options only. But that's a really good question. Let's see. Buyback already came around for me once, and I wasn't in a position to buy it then. I was told it would come back around again. Will it? If so, that automatic, or do I need to submit a new request? So Jennifer, you do need to submit a new request, but because the time has already been calculated, the calculation won't take as long. We won't have to do a full calculation. It'll just be adding on interest and stuff. So yeah, you would need to send in a new request though. Eric is asking, not showing purchasable service credit for initial hire period and prior military service in members portal. How to fix that? So let me just make sure that I am understanding what you're writing down, Eric. So you're not showing the service credit that you purchased, or the time that may be eligible to you. So if it's time that you did purchase and it's not showing in the member portal, then I definitely would send us an email and stuff. We can look into it. If it's time that you have, time eligible. Okay. So initial hire period, that's something we have to look at, because depending on when you were hired, that may, depending on how long ago that was, it may not show in there, but we would have to look at that. As far as your prior military service, that's not going to, any potential prior military service would not show in the member portal. Eligible time, I should say, would not show in the member portal. Let's see. I am predicting that I may retire within a year or maybe less. My divorce entails a portion of retirement payout to my ex. Can I bring in my dissolution of marriage and form a divorce settlement to Beneficiary and have it put in my file so you have it available well in advance? Absolutely, Robert. That's a fantastic question, and you should definitely do that. It's always better to provide those types of divorce documents, the finalized documents and everything to us sooner before you retire. So that way our divorce unit does look it over, because especially if there is going to be a portion that's entitled to your ex-spouse, the benefits unit can look at that and figure out what exactly needs to be done, and then have that already on file for you, so it won't potentially delay your first benefit check. It's so I definitely recommend bringing that in to us as sooner rather than later. Can I make my grandchildren my beneficiaries? If so, what is the process? All you need to do is go to our website and get a beneficiary change form, fill that out, print it, sign it, and then turn it in by the mail or drop it off to our office. Or if you are a county employee, you can send it to the county stop mail. We are stop number 40. So your beneficiary can be anyone. Just keep in mind that when you're ready to retire, depending on the option that you select, your beneficiary will be set in stone and you cannot change that. So just keep that in mind. No problem, Robert. I'm happy to help as much as I can. Okay. So we finished pretty early. This topic is kind of, it's good, it's informative, but it does kind of I do run through it kind of fast. So if you guys have any more questions, feel free. If I become permanent after separation from my spouse, is he entitled to my retirement? So if I become permanent after separation. So separation, so the only thing I can say, Jennifer, is separation and divorce, we got to be very specific about that. Would the divorce be finalized before you become a permanent employee and become a FSARA member? So if you got divorced at any time, I'll just put it this way. I'll put it this way. If you get divorced at any time during your membership as a FSARA member, you will need to submit divorce documents to our office, because we need to look at those and we need to find out if your ex-spouse has a potential interest in your benefit. If the divorce was finalized before you became a FSARA member, like for example, county employees, if you got divorced and that was finalized before you became a county employee, we don't care about that. It's strictly through your FSARA membership period. How do I find out and pay for my prior military service? My original documents were submitted back in 2000. So we have to look. I can't really answer that, Eric. We'd have to look at that, because, like I mentioned, that isn't allowed anymore. But depending on the situation, I'd have to talk to the supervisor. My best advice I can give you, Eric, is to email us, and then I could forward that email to our benefit support unit. Okay. Oh, you're a court employee. Okay. So you've already submitted the documents already, and we've done the. Have you submitted a service credit purchase request? If you submitted the service credit purchase request already, then we can look at that. But you would need to submit the request as well, even if you've done it before. You do need to submit a request then. Let's see. I have a question. Okay, Alice, what is your question? What happens if your spouse is the beneficiary and dies after you die? For example, if the spouse dies within a year, what happens to your retirement? Is that an alternative to giving it to a child? What happens if your spouse? So, in most cases, in almost all the options, if in that scenario, the benefit stops after your spouse deceases. So if you were to go first and then your spouse gets the continuing benefit, then he passes away, that benefit stops with him. There's nothing, you can't exchange and give it to somebody else to take that place, even if it's a minor child or something like that. The benefit stops, the benefit stream stops. That's with the unmodified option 2 and so forth. Can you have more than one beneficiary? You can, yes, you can have more than one beneficiary. But depending on when you do retire and the option that you're going to select, your beneficiary, it depends on the option that you're going to select toward when you're ready to retire. If you are married and have a spouse, but you don't want to have the spouse as the beneficiary, the primary beneficiary, that spouse has to sign a notarized waiver waiving their rights to any potential survivor benefit. So keep that in mind as well. But yes, you can have more than one beneficiary, and it honestly, you can have 3 or 4. It just depends. But depending on the option that you select, you may be limited on what you could potentially provide those beneficiaries. So if you list more than 2, let's say you do 2 or more, the only options that you would be available to select would be the unmodified option 1 or an option 4, which is a customized actuarial calculation. So the options 2 and 3 would not be available to you, which provide a survivor continuance to a beneficiary of your choice because you have multiple. It can only be one. Good questions. All right. So while we have some time, if I forgot to mention, if you guys, don't have any other questions and you guys want to go enjoy the rest of your lunch or whatever, feel free to. You guys don't have to stick around. I appreciate it. I will be doing another webinar next Thursday for the Prepare Today, where I'm going to be talking about like beneficiary benefits and just a little bit more about your retirement, stuff like that. So, be on the lookout for that. This will be posted on our website, so you guys can look and watch this video again if you like. We will be having more webinars for the remainder of the year. I plan on doing a mid-career webinar in September, which is a webinar. It's a 2-hour webinar, so you will have to take a little bit of time off for that, unfortunately. But it's a 2-hour webinar. It is designed for members that aren't more than 10 years from retiring, but they at least have 5 years of service. So it provides you guys insight of like what to look out for, more information about your retirement. And then in October, November, December, I plan on doing a webinar during the lunch hour. I am planning on doing a webinar during the lunch hour. October, I'm not sure what the topic is going to be yet. November is going to be preparing for retirement. So like, what are the things that you need to do before finally scheduling that appointment with our office and things like that. So and look out for that. So we need an appointment. You do not need an appointment if you're, well, it depends on what you're asking for. So we're only currently making appointments for members that are retiring and signing a retirement application. If you just want to drop off forms and stuff like that, or, ask any questions, you don't have to make an appointment. You could call our office or just visit the office to drop off the stuff. But yeah, currently we're only making appointments for members that are going to sign a retirement application. That may change in the future, but that's just our process as of right now. How does the retirement affect you if you decide to stay after 100% and get a higher paying job? So if you, I'm assuming this means that you're 100% of your final compensation is what you mean by 100%. So if you are at 100% of your final compensation, and you end up getting a higher paying job within the county or the Facera plan sponsor, and that it takes over becoming your actual final average compensation, your benefit in theory would increase because of that raise. If my husband signs a form notarized and all, I can go to my child without having to file for divorce. That's correct. If you're wanting to leave your child as the main beneficiary and leave them a potential lifetime benefit, yes, he would have to sign that. As long as you're married, he would have to sign a notarized waiver. I haven't spoken with anyone about my retirement. What's the student's available appointment? Can they be done on Teams? Not ready for retirement, but want to be prepared and know more about deferred compensation. So, um, Jacqueline, we don't. Unfortunately, you can. The specialists are just they're only making appointments for members that are retiring at the moment. Um, but if you have any just general questions and stuff, you can always email me. We could set up a time, and I could just walk you through some general stuff, um, some questions that you may and be able to answer some of the questions that you have. If you want to learn more about deferred compensation, you want to contact Nationwide themselves and talk about deferred comp, and I will put our reps Deanna Sis's email in the chat. So if you guys have any questions about the deferred comp plan, you guys can email her, or you can check out the deferred comp plan for the county at Fresno 457. And I know I talk a lot about county stuff because the majority of members that are in the webinars are county employees. So I apologize, court employees and everything else. I do apologize for that. Um, let's see here. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that we can cover with you guys here. Um, let's see if there's anything else. If you guys have any other questions, feel free. We got some time. Otherwise, if you guys want to go enjoy the rest of your lunch, you're more than welcome to. Um, okay, perfect. So if an employee knows when he or she plans to retire, but it will be months until then, i.e. November, what's the soonest day he can schedule an appointment with Facera? If they have the date, picked out, they can call no earlier than 90 days from that date of retirement. Um, then when they call and schedule that appointment with the retirement specialist, the specialist will schedule that appointment within 60 days of that retirement date because by our law that we're governed by, you cannot sign retirement forms outside a 60-day window from the retirement date that you pick. But you can call our office up to as early as 90 days prior to make that appointment. We definitely recommend doing that because that gives us the specialist time to make adequate scheduling for both you and them, and also that way you can get the process started with all that. No problem. Thank you. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Let's see here. If processing payment and tier changes in process progress and the employee leaves, is the buyback still effective? That's a good question. And Margot, I honestly don't have an answer for that at the moment. I would have to find that out for you because I don't want to give you wrong information. So I don't know the exact answer for that, but if you want to shoot me an email, we can find that answer out for you. Okay. Right. So let's see here. See if I have any other Wow. All right. Got a lot of emails. Sweet. Okay. See, give it another minute if there's any other questions, because if there's not, then I think I may just end the webinar a little early. Um, but again, I appreciate you guys being here this afternoon. I hope you find these informational and helpful. That's the whole point of me doing these type of webinars for you guys, is I want to be able to provide that information to you so you guys can make the best decisions going forward, and then always be able to be there for you guys and answer any questions for you. Okay. Well, uh oh, no problem. No problem. That's what I'm here for. I try to give you guys the best and most accurate information as I can, because I definitely want you guys to have all this information for you, so you guys can, spread it to your coworkers and stuff. Because before I mean, we haven't done these type of webinars in anything before I took this role. So it's like, hey, I want to be able to provide this information to you guys. If you, another thing I forgot to mention, and if you guys, I don't know what it's like in your different departments and stuff, but if you guys want to have me come out and like sit there, give you guys a presentation, or like what I've done at the sheriff's office, for example. I went out to the sheriff's office one afternoon. I just had my own table. You guys can come by, ask questions, like we can go over the member portal, stuff like that. If you guys are interested in that, just shoot me an email. Say that your department may be interested in a presentation or something like that, and let me know. I can run it by my management staff, and we can see if we can make that happen for you guys. But I really appreciate your guys' time today. I think I'm going to end the webinar. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to email me, email the Facera webmail, or you just give a call to our office. That's what we're here for, to help. Hope you guys found this stuff enjoyable and informational. So I hope you guys have a great rest of the day, and you guys hopefully see you guys around the county. Have a good rest of the day.